Hey y'all, Liz here, and I've got your Daily Lizard. Today is Teamwork Thursday, and I think by now we all probably recognize the importance of teamwork and making sure that your team feels like they're part of your team, right? And that it's not your team that they work for instead of being part of your team. Okay, so this week we have been talking about interviewing and some best practices. And so I want to talk about how to incorporate your team into your interview process. What can you do? So let me just say that the first thing that probably pops up is, yeah, I can't have my people sitting in on interviews. My people are out in the field, they're working. Or I guess I could have somebody from my office helping out. But what I'm really talking about is more the people who are actually out there doing the work. They're cleaning. They are, whatever the services that you offer, right? They're doing that. All right. How can you get them involved? If you're thinking, I can't, they're working, think again. You need to. All right. Figure out a way. Maybe you can do a Zoom interview and they can be in on it. Maybe they can even be in the house. I wonder how impactful it would be to an interview candidate if they saw one of your team members in a home, cleaning a house, but also taking time out to help interview. What do you think the impact of that would be in your company? I don't know that that's a great idea for your company, but it could be. It's a great idea for some companies. All right, but the idea I wanted to talk about today is the idea of figuring out a way to bring your team members into the interview process, because you don't know what you don't know. And you know who does know those things that you don't know? Your team members. So sometimes they are going to tell you things that you have forgotten because you haven't been in the field in so long, or because things have changed and the people are different now, right? The people applying to your jobs are different than the people who were applying 5 years ago, or even 2 years ago, depending on how you've been in business, how long you've been in business. Okay. Here is one thing that I learned from having somebody sit in, a team member. She was a great team member, first off. Her name was Sandra. And we called her Sandra K, even though her last name started with a C, because her code was K, but her name sounded like it started with a K also. All right, so Sandra K. We invited her to interviews, and one of the things that she taught us is that it was really important to hire people who are not rude or who are respectful, who we can clearly see are respectful and not rude. You know, I had never really thought of that or even thought to look for it, because the way I am is, of course, everybody would be polite and respectful going into somebody else's house, and into their home, into their living environment. But you know what she showed me? Yeah, there are quite a few people who are not respectful. And she gave me a ton of examples of people that we had hired that were just not respectful. They didn't even think twice about opening up a drawer and looking to see what was in there. Sit down, literally had somebody sit down on the couch, pick up a magazine and start thumbing through it because, well, this is many, many years ago, y'all, but because Princess Di was on the cover. And yeah, of course, nobody could be expected to not look at that. Right? Okay. So, how can you involve your team members in your interview process? I don't know, but your daily action is to figure out how. How can you do it? And what can you learn? So, right down below, after you do this, post. What did you learn from this experience? Did you figure out something that you can do and something that instead of something that you can't do? We talk a lot about that, right? Stop thinking about all the things you can't do and start thinking about what you can do. That's where your power is. All right, that's it for today. Talk to you soon. Bye, y'all.